One thing that I think I've struggled with in my life is being able to express anger at all. This is an Enneagram 9 thing, perhaps, but I've equated having an emotional outburst at somebody of anger, and then later on making up with them. So like you say somebody pisses you off and you tell them, "Hey, fuck you," but then later on, and it could be very shortly later on, you go give them a hug and it's made up, and things are all better, and they really do become all better. But there's something that like I've equated doing that with, well, if I expressed some anger and then mended an argument, made the what I consider to be a mature emotional move to mend the argument, I've counted that the same as not doing it at all, because it's almost like, well, if I turn the light switch on and then I turned it back off, it's the same as, why did I even get up to mess with the light switch at all? And I think this is definitely something that I need to change my perspective about and change my ideas about, because I do feel better having expressed anger. And maybe one thing about what seems to be Enneagram 9 is you really do let so many other people have their way, and you can grow to understanding so many other people's ways of living, that you become an observer, but not just an observer from a distance like Enneagram 5 might be. The Enneagram 9 type of observation is actually numbing out into it. You might be inside of it. Like 5 is observing from a distance, whereas 9 is observing from being a part of other people's will a lot of the time. Um, and then like having a sense of what people need to do to grow their asses up, even if they're a lot older than you. Um, and then you seeing them not doing it, and then just to maintain inner peace, you make excuses for them. Yeah, and that's you make excuses for them because it feels better in the moment, when it doesn't really feel better in like over a very short period of time. That stuff starts building up, and then it just feels horrible, because all you have is other people's sins on you, like other people's willpower that was done in a disrespectful way or an immature way, and you just take that on. It's the agreeability of the 9. It's it's very hard to discern, I think, between wanting to maintain that peace and knowing that it's your strong point, and also knowing that especially if you're the only 9 in an atmosphere, nobody else is going to do that. People suck. And I kind of feel like that people who aren't 9 suck, because they're constantly biting each other, and fighting each other and hating each other, and ruining each other's plans. And I think one thing about Enneagram 9 that can happen is you can see everyone around you expressing anger at each other, and sometimes it's funny, but a lot of times, people are just not looking at themselves, not looking inside. They're not looking to improve at all. So seeing that so much, and allowing people to do that, letting people do that, it can build up to the point where it's not that you hate everybody, but you're mad at everybody. You can be mad at everybody. And the thing about 9 is it's not so much like Enneagram 3 where you can get into a fit of narcissistic rage and want to kill somebody. Enneagram 9 is it seems easier to just check out into different personalities. And I'm not sure if every 9 is like that because a 9 wing 8 um, could probably express anger better than a 9 wing 1, and a 9 wing 1 could just like escape into all sorts of stuff. And then, if you've been in that mode of living for so long, it's hard to tell what is escaping and what's not escaping. I think that I got to a point in my life within the last year or so where I don't know when I'm escaping and when I'm not escaping. And there's one thing that like a difference between an INFJ and an INFP. An INFJ can escape into a vision, but it's about real world conquests, not necessarily power conquests, but visionary projects nonetheless. And an INFP will escape into a fantasy world. I've had confusion over typing because I seem to do both of those at once. There's a sort of 9 wing 1, like I think it's social, sexual, instinctual variant 9 wing 1, detailed where you check out into different personalities. So I don't really know if that's an INFJ or an INFP style. That's something that I seem to do. Like they're personalities, but they're other people's personalities. Like they're mirrored personalities, and then I can take them on. But the reason I'm bringing that up at all is because uh, he kind of like the ego indolence of 9 expresses so little anger that you just like there's nothing you can do except to become totally and completely absurd with your life because going at your actual will, like you don't even know what that is. You're so full of other people's wills that your own will is like, when was the last time I even thought about this? Because you survive by being peaceful. You survive by, um, either allowing or discerning other people's wills and just letting them go along. And I've gotten better about dealing with that. But one way I deal with it is not having close relationships at all. Because if I get too close, then somebody's gonna push their will, and even people with very low willpower, people who don't put a lot of force out there with anything. I can still get lost in that if I'm around somebody for too long. Too used to being so many different people just because other people are assholes. That's what I gotta say about that one.